Howdy folks, today let's talk about the Letshuoer S15, the latest generation planar driver from Letshuoer. I want to thank a couple folks, Joseph from Letshuoer for always helping me out, giving me good customer service, and talking the company into sending me stuff even though I constantly trash things on video. But you know, I'm just being myself and honest. All right, this is a very interesting headphone. Just to mention, I took the grills off on these so that I could see inside the bore. It's just one of the things I do. The grill itself is just a grill. I am very sure of it. There's no tuning stuff in it. It doesn't really matter, but it's not the older style like S12 grill. Here, I got it somewhere. There are these ones. These little, just wire meshes. That's it. There's no tuning stuff in them. So I wanted to see what was inside of them, but let's just go ahead and look around on this thing for a minute. It's a 3D printed from Hey Ears, another company that does 3D printed stuff. It has the 14.8 millimeter third generation planar driver that's been in the original S12, the S12 Pro, and then here. As far as I could tell, just to mention this to folks, the original S12 has first gen, S12 Pro second. Also, some of the originals ended up with the second gen driver. I know that because I had so many of them. But anyways, this is the third one, third generation 14.8 planar driver, probably from the same company. Don't know what it is off the top of my head, but anyway. So we go 2-pin, right? I want to say this, that this also has they call it the R-sonic passive filtering module, and there's a huge amount of, I don't know, huge, but there's a controversy on that. Like, what does it do? What's it for? And things like that. And honestly, I don't know if I have a lot of answers about that, because really to find out what's going to happen, I have to take this apart. I have to pull out that or do something with that passive module. I don't even know if it's possible. Other things to mention, I can't get into this without digging into the shell. I was trying to think about how to do that, and without ruining everything. It's not going to be easy because that's flush. So it's like, oh well. Anyways, let's keep looking. So there's a little pinhole back here. I'm suspecting that is for the back of the driver assembly, so it's got some airflow into the back of everything. And then we have two pinholes here. Clearly these are different dampers. So I'm thinking possibly the white one. So that's, I'll point this one here. I think this one could just be the sort of the front damper that's typical on every IEM. And then this one I think might be the passive filtering module, R-sonic. I'm just going to call it what they call it. And so clearly that's got a different look to it. It's black, and I don't know if it's a damper. Here, let's see if we could find out anything. Because, it's a microscope. Let's see here. Zoom, 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 zoom. Whoop. That. Jesus, that's hard to figure out. Let's see. I guess we're just looking down a hole. I think that's all that is. So it goes somewhere. We can't really see much in there. All right, well, yeah. But what we can do is, let me zoom back out. That's not out. So what we can do, though, is we can pull out the foam. Probably. Okay, and we can look down the bore. And what do we see? All right, for sure, what I'm seeing here is, I'll kind of point to it, but this little thingy right here looks like the passive module. So sort of if you follow it, that might end up in this little pinhole here. And then we can see the grill from the other side, basically on the planar driver. Now, I don't know if I can actually see this, but yeah, I don't know. I'm looking to see if the holes are lined up or more like in a circular pattern. So if they're like in a row or a circular pattern, God, that's hard to see. Let's see. Sorry. I just can't tell. It does actually look sort of like a circular pattern. Now, why I'm talking about that is because I think that's about all we could see on this for right now. Let me flip over to my desktop. All right, so this is over $9,000, so it's very expensive. This is Letshuoer's website, so let's talk about some stuff. Third generation planar driver, 6mm R-sonic passive filtering module. That is got to be the same one that I pulled out of the The DZ4, I think that's what that was called. Jesus, I should have pulled that out, but I think that's what it is. It's that little blue guy, right? So if we scroll around here, it says dual acoustic tubes with filter crossover. I'm not sure what that means, but they're not in the bore in any case, like porting the sound into your ear canal. Stuff. This logo is completely new to me. It's, I don't know if it's their new branding thing, but kind of reminds me of like Tesla-ish or something. Interesting. I mean, clearly they're going with it because we got that on the shell here heavily. So I guess it's cool. The new branding, I was like, okay, I don't know if that's just like a one-off or if they're going to go with it. I'm going to say this right now. I don't like the baby blue. Look, man, this thing is 330 monies. And it should, I think, be more professional looking. And I don't know what professional looking should, look like. But to me, this looks more like like a kid's toy. It's got like the pastel baby blue. Then the DZ4 had like skin pink. Like what? It's very odd colored picks. I don't know why they're doing that. Maybe they're going for like the Apple aesthetic from 1990s. Just weirdness. But it's like if it was black, okay, now we're talking. Clear, I would be into clear for sure, especially if that little R-sonic module is all pretty and blue. But like, it's just like, what? I don't get the aesthetic. I'm not going to say I hate it, but I don't get it. I'd prefer something different, especially for 330 bucks. Anyway, sorry, I'm going ranting off. Any case, let's check that out. Dual chamber planar driver. So to me, that means that it's got that chamber strapped to the back of it, the secondary chamber that I've talked about on video. Broader soundscape. Some other things. Let's see. Of course, it's got the detachable cables. 3.5, 2.5, 4.4, etc., etc. And yeah. So, oh well. Okay. Here, that's certainly something. So here we can see that the cover of the planar driver, which is right about here, this is more of a circular hole pattern, whereas the other one had definitely, this is more of a rectangular pattern. No real circles in it. So that definitely looks different to me and immediately looks like the height is MP145. So that's interesting. Theorizing it could be the same driver, but this one says 14.8 and millimeter. That one says 14.5. Maybe they're both third gens of the same. Just guessing. In any case, let's scroll down and we get some breakdowns, and this just completely boggles my mind. I don't understand. I don't understand what they're going for with this passive module thing here. But scrolling down, they give more of an explanation. So I wanted to talk about that stuff here. Let's see. Yeah, 30 ohm impedance and frequency response of 20 to 40,000 hertz. And I'm like, 40,000, huh? You're just really going to hit that hard. And it's like, well, we could test that. And then we have a sensitivity 106, so 30 ohm, 106. Basically, you could run it off a phone. Planar being planar, you want to feed this more power. It just, no matter if it gets loud enough, it sounds better. Anyways. And what the hell? There was a breakdown here earlier. Wait, no, I know what I got to do. Hold on. Sorry. Flipping around. I got to find the R-sonic clicker button. Where was it? R-sonic clicker. Where are you? God damn it. That. Okay. Passive filtering doodad. So, R-sonic was inspired by a passive radiator that is traditionally implemented in speakers, except for it's the opposite of that. So, we have a driver and the passive radiator in an enclosed space, and they're saying that it prevents, I think, the driver from excursioning too much. It is really hard for me to break down what they really mean with this stuff, but this is what it is. So, there we go. We have a diaphragm. We have sound coming in the top. Then we have a vent hole, which is dampered, I think going out of the back of the IEM. It's got more stuff here. So it's like, we got the driver. Two drivers? well, there's one driver, so maybe that meant that like the DZ4 type of thing. Not entirely sure. But then clearly this is a bypass for basically the entire acoustic arrangement in the front of the driver. So that hits a membrane in here that I guess vibrates and causes some type of forgiveness, less pressure buildup, something like that. And then there's the it's just weird, man. I don't understand it really, but this is what it is. And so I wanted to go over that. It's clearly not like anything else on the market. All right, Jesus. Yeah, let me flip back over to, hang on. Okay. Got it. I'm going through a lot of stuff in my mind here because this has been building up for years. Alrighty, let me zoom into this because people can't see anything here. And then we'll just kind of, well, here, let me do this. Yeah, cool. I'll zoom in a little more. All right, Letshuoer S15, $330. That is a huge price increase. Like, I was thinking to myself, you know, if they had just done this in a black shell or like a clear or something, then it would be much easier to stomach that amount of money, in my opinion. Third gen Planar driver of the same company, very likely, whatever that is, 6mm R-sonic. So right off the bat, everyone's got to know this. The third gen driver is absolutely better controlled. It's less peaky and clearly easier to tune than these first and second. There's just no comparison, zero, none. Let me pull this out. I actually forgot to pull the graph up, but I'm going to flip back to there. Let me find the graph so I'm not stumbling around, which I'm already doing. Okay, that's a graph. We'll go to that. Yeah. All right, let me flip back. Okay, here's a graph. Now, I wanted to go over the 20 hertz to 40,000 hertz statement. Right here we have the normal graph. Here I'll put 20,000. That's 20K right there, right? That's where I have my line there. Here, let me just go ahead and make this bigger. All right, so here's our 20K. Whoops, yeah, right there. All right, so if we look at our mid-range right here, by the way, I aligned to the 0 decibels. So here's 0. And I want to just mention this, that if we go over to this little peak right here, we are at 17,000 hertz. And that actually has more energy than the mid-range right around here. That's insane. Also, at 24,000 hertz, we have basically nearly the same energy, the sound pressure level, as the mid-range as well. That's absolutely bonkers. I've never seen that out of any IEM ever. When I first started measuring this, it was more like, and just before I do this, so okay, here's 40,000 hertz, and by 40,000 hertz we're down, let's say 18 decibels. Let's just go for this one, so we'll say 15. That's arguably actually got some energy there. None of this matters whatsoever, because you can't hear anything above that. Of course. But let's have fun with the review, right? Why not? And that's got some energy there. I would say arguably this extends to 24,000 hertz really, really well. So that's insane. But we got a little issue here, which is this little dip right here. And I don't understand what's going on. The other original drivers, the second gen, they don't dip quite as hard in that area. So if we're talking, let's just say this is, the 8K peak, I nailed that. If we go down from there, we are down 15 decibels from the mid-range. And that's a really rather large trough. I mean, if it was like 5 or 7, that would be right around here. But that's a huge trough. But then it pops back up at 18,000 hertz, which you can't hear. So what I'm trying to say is, this is just an odd thing. Everything else on this, by the way, no smoothing, very clearly. But this is a much better controlled driver once you get to 10,000 hertz. Arguably, maybe, I don't know, it might not be. But it does extend further than the original driver, so it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of like a situation. I don't think a lot of these frequencies above 10,000 hertz are super ultra important, but it does give you this little bit of air up there. And this definitely lacks that air compared to the original and the second gen drivers. Having said that, clearly the rest of everything else is better. So this is like something that I don't think matters except for probably head-fi reviewers, that can hear up to 24,000 hertz. I can't, but they clearly can. So that might matter to them. But I think for most folks, this will be just fine, actually. I think we'll be just fine. I would prefer maybe just a little extra over 10,000, but we're fart sniffing here clearly. Where the meat of the meat and bones of what they did here is important in the lower end. So let's just go ahead and align the graph to like a more normal thing so it looks more normal. There we go. That looks nice. I think maybe I had a little coupler leak here. That whatever. Just don't worry about that. So we have a 7 decibel bass shelf. It starts at about 400 hertz, and actually that's a really good move for this. And R-sonic doing whatever it's doing. By 200 hertz, we are up 2 decibels, which is really not that much. The important thing to know here is that we're at a really nice flat graph. This is right in my wheelhouse of I like this shit, essentially. Pin gain is at 6 decibels, perfect, right on the money. Overall, my stuff I've done, I'm like between 6 and 6.5 is really super awesome. Tasty tastiness. And also we're starting a little early, which is cool, very cool. So overall, and then, we hit about 3,000 and then we start dropping down a little forgiveness, 4K, 5K. Like the tuning here is really pretty damn good, really, really good. I really have no complaints at all. It doesn't come across bright, shouty, none of that at all. If I had to do something here, I would actually add mid-bass. You need to calm down. My dog is yelling at me. Hang on, let me let her out for a sec. Okay, so speaking of the bass shelf on this, it's cool. I just wish there was a little bit more of it. It's just the Planar. You can lean into the mid bass and really it pulls it off well. But, that's just my nitpicks, my own personal style of tuning. I think they pulled this off super, super well. Just dead honestly. I'm a tad upset about the price. Let me just flip back over to my notes here. Yeah, I talked about being undecided about the module. I do want to get into this thing and remove it or do something with it. I'm not sure. I was thinking possibly that it controls the upper end smoothness of the graph. So like the driver is not experiencing a huge amount of pressure pushback perhaps, so then the upper end becomes more smooth with less peakiness. I'm just theorizing, I really don't know. But it also allows a nice bass shelf and limits the driver excursion, meaning that there could be an upper end to the bass SPL as you EQ and turn up. I've only had these for a day and a half, so I really haven't fleshed that out yet. It's just a mystery to me so far. But I figure I want to do the review because these are hot and bothered, so let's do it. And anything else that matters there? I don't think. Yeah, so we're talking about flat pinna, not Harman, fairly unique, and it's very similar to my own style of tuning with a little less mid-bass. I just said that, but killer. All right, so bass, let's try this. 7.5 to 8 out of 10, and I'm kind of undecided. It's like, it's enough to do a lot of genres well, and then like for EDM and rap, I just felt like, God damn, if I just had some more of that, give me some more. It's so nice sounding. I just want more. So it's like, tuned well, excellent separation, good texturing, but not quite enough of it to really just blast me and that pop factor. But I like it. So mids, we're going to get them an 8.5 out of 10. They're goddamn excellent. Really happy with the mids on this. Very, very similar to something I would have tried to tune myself. There's very little to complain here. I guess if I maybe would complain why they're not maybe getting, say, a 9 or a 10, it's probably because, and this is going to sound a little funky coming from me. Let me flip back to the graph. I think I would actually want this just a little bit between 3 and 5K, perhaps just a little, maybe like 1 or 2 more decibels. I feel like that might have opened the stage just a hair more. Just theorizing, but it's my review. So that would be the only thing I might nitpick about. But the overall tonality, the organicness, the textures, vocals being correct, absolutely in the pocket. They're freaking amazing. You know, just I think I'm talking myself into a 9 here in mids. We'll go for a 9. I'm being nitpicky about the openness of the top end there. It's probably getting in near the treble, but the mids they're fucking great. They're fucking great. A little forward, just a hair. It's probably starting before 2K, but you know, really love it. Moving on to treble, we'll give it an 8 out of 10, and that's because everything is really awesome, man. Just everything, the harmonics, the smoothness. It is only that dip after 10K that's bothering me. I just wish, it just feels like there's something off with what I was theorizing actually is that, here, I'll flip back over to, here. I was theorizing that this bore, here, watch, let me pull this out. Maybe this will help. So I was theorizing this bore was smaller in diameter than the originals, and I think I'm right about that. That is clearly like a millimeter or something smaller. What ends up happening is it allows you an easier mid-shelf to tune, but it ends up causing a roll-off over 10K, and then it pops back up really hard. So, and the reason I know that is because I've put inserts in these bores, and it does very similar to what this is doing. It's just that I don't do it anymore because of that stabby peak and that trough right after 10K gets too extreme. So, things, but you know, they pulled off a really pretty good middle ground, and they got the meat of the bones here perfect, so, or near perfect. Flipping back over, so our stage wideness, we're going to give it an 8.5 out of 10, and I think, yeah, if they would have just bumped the upper mids and the treble just a hair, 1 or 2s, we're just, you know, fart sniffing here maybe, but we might have got up to a 10 maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't spent a lot of time with this. I don't know if the driver excels like some of the other stuff I've done in terms of the stage, depending on what you do, but it's very good as it is, really, really. Depth, we're getting an 8 out of 10. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give it 8.5. It's actually pretty damn good. I think maybe you get a little more depth the more mid-bass you have, perhaps, just in terms of the tuning, but they did a damn good job. It's super good. So then imaging, 8.5 out of 10. It is near top of the line styled imaging. I would say you can pick out everything very, very, very distinctly. You know what? Yeah. The more I think about this, I'm thinking the imaging is more like a 9. It's freaking really good, and it's in a natural good way, not an artificially weird sort of synthetic razor pinpoint thing. It's just very good imaging. Like you can pick out instruments in space, you know, left to right. And then also in the layering, we'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. And this is exactly, though, I'm going to say this directly, but the foam in the bore, you take that out, that changes the tuning, but the layering becomes better. So I think the foam is somehow smoothing that out a little bit, and you know, if you want to pull that out and play with that yourself, you could. That's just my opinion about the foam. It's something I tend to try not to do in my own tunings, but I'm not faulting them for it because they hit a goddamn good tuning frequency range. So, you know, fantastic. Phantom center image, 8 out of 10. It is correctly natural. It is not... it may be a little bit better than sort of natural, but it's very good. You know, vocals do seem to sort of float in the middle of the speaker or your head or something in front of you. Really, really very nice. And I find it does actually give me a little bit of an impression of having another sort of speaker rather than just 2. I'll just say that. Transient smack will give an 8 out of 10. And this driver does this pretty well. I think, again, if they had pushed the upper mids a little bit higher, I think they could have pulled it off. I don't think it would have been off-putting, but it's between a dynamic driver and a balanced armature in terms of the whack, the snap, you know, the snares and things like that. I find it super good. I find balanced armatures can be too harsh. Dynamics can be too sloppy, soft, fuzzy, and this is just right. Chef's kiss. Volume scaling, we're going to give an 8.5 out of 10. Could be better with a little more mid-bass, because that actually just, it causes you to probably actually run the volume a little bit lower than you more naturally would, and it seems louder. But in any case, 8 out of 10 is super good. The treble is well controlled. You can crank the shit out of these, essentially. And if you add in EQ, I think that they respond pretty good, but I did feel like in terms of the bass, I did add some, you know, bass head styled stuff, and I felt like it seemed like there was an upper end to what I was actually getting out of the things. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that the volume scaling is sort of intrinsically linked to the amount of bass you can get out of headphones, and so I think you could do better if it had, I don't know, somehow a more, it's hard to put this into words because the bass on this compared to the originals is actually fairly different. It's not bad, but it's less, it has less body to it. I guess that's the only thing I can say. And it's not because of the shelf. It's just the bodiness. This comes across more as like a refined type of bass, whereas the originals, if you really push it up, it's just like Godzilla styled bass. And it's that, maybe I can go for that. All right, fit and build. The fit and the build on these is something else. So here, watch. Oh hell, I just lost the tips. I put them back in the box. Whatever, don't matter. The tips are interesting. They are flat and stubby, and so you end up not really getting past the end of the bore very much with the tips, which is an interesting move by Letshuoer. I like it. You know, those are so personal. It's just, I just found it interesting is all. And they have blue ones, so they fit the aesthetic, which is weird. A weird aesthetic. So yeah, they remind me of wide bore foams, but they're not foam, they're silicons. That's the part that I liked about them. There's no issues with the fit. I wouldn't say it's the best. They're just, the bores are a little bit stubby, man, especially with those tips. So I don't know, put your own on, maybe probably get a better fit out of that in terms of the seal and the overall locking into the ear. But pretty cool, not bad. They just look weird, just weird styling, man. I am appreciative of the fact that they, like here, watch, let's check a side profile, but these are, you know, they're actually maybe slightly thinner than the originals or thereabouts. And having a passive module in there also, wow, that's some good shit. I appreciate compact shells, and this is doing a good job. Also, I mean, it feels pretty well made. It doesn't feel like it's going to break. I don't know how thick exactly they 3D print this, but interesting stuff. Flip back here. Pastel colors don't seem pro to me, and this is my own deal. Also, the unboxing is very, very nice and probably appropriate for the price. You know, it's up to you whether or not you value that sort of stuff. I personally don't very much, but they put some effort into it, so I appreciate that. And you know what? I don't have a conclusion, and I think it would be probably a bad move to just go ahead and toss a review out after 1.5 days. But I have heard these things so much that I can just say a few things. So, you know, the driver itself is a better driver. I'm nearly positive. The third gen is just, you know, it's just better, just straight up. Does it scale in terms of all of the wonderful things that the original could do? I don't know for sure, but right now I like it quite a bit. I found it to be a refined set. The treble is extremely smooth. It's right in the pocket of being very, very good. The mid-range was just so super fucking good, just straight up. And you know how I just love mids. I would wish there's a little more mid bass, but you know. So I would say also that I did not find any genres where it actually didn't work, which is, you know, I just flipping randomly through my library and everything worked. And so I'm going to get in deeper in terms of what was like, you know, killing it, what was awesome, what wasn't. But I wanted to put out a video because, you know, because this is an interesting set, definitely. And I really wish they had done this for like maybe $199. Like $330 is just, wow. It's pushing it, but you know, it has a very high level of performance. It's pushing it, but I think I'd probably be like very, very okay with the price if it wasn't in this friggin' baby blue shell. That's the God honest truth. So I will be back with genres and other things and maybe some more notes and blah, blah, blah that I might think of a bit later. Right on. Talk to you later.